Hello, I'm Candid Frank Sanishi of Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now joining me on the program, Candid Frank Live, Aaron William Freeland. I guess everything we do is 3 words, Aaron.
Definitely seems that way. Definitely seems that way.
Yeah, I had some severe work for plumbing to do, and unfortunately, it was a little backed up, so I had to fix it a little bit. And thank you for your patience.
I'm hoping you managed to flush everything out.
Well, it took a pretty big snake to take care of it.
Terrible, Frank. Just terrible.
Just kidding. Come on. Anyway, so how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. I got a chance to get together with the parents again and go for a little Sunday skate at Celebration Square in Mississauga. So that was nice.
Oh, how was the ice?
Terrible.
Like a hockey game, chippy.
They only flood it once every 2 hours.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and they
So
do it
you're
really
skating
quickly.
through snowbanks. You're skating through
Pretty
snowbanks.
much. It doesn't lay down enough water, so it just sort of scuffs and moves the snow around. It's kind of frustrating.
I think that
might.
The reason might be that when fresh ice it can be pretty slippery.
That's generally the idea, right?
Yeah. The slippery. There's a window there that you have to kind of keep open just enough that people aren't sliding across the ice. It's all about liability, I think. Safety, right? And that matters.
Safety first.
Absolutely. So let's go to the Canadian Football League first. And AC Leonard re-signs with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
So this is a good pickup for them. I'm glad that he signed a 2-year extension with them. He was consistent throughout the last season, and at 6'2", 250, he's one of their one of their better defensive linemen. So I'm glad to see him back.
Yeah, very good guy. Newly re-signed Bombers defensive end Jeff Coate follows championship tradition. This guy, I guess, if you win every year, you get to call it a tradition, right?
Well, 2 in a row is definitely the start of a tradition. I guess we won't get to call it a dynasty until they win 3, but he had a bowl of queso and chips out of the Grey Cup. So in keeping with that tradition, he's doing wonderfully.
I like the infant daughter or son. That's what I like in there.
I'm just hoping that nobody puts them in there and they don't poop in there.
There you go.
Just be
another plumbing problem. Corey Mace has been signed by the Toronto Argonauts as the defensive coordinator, replacing, of course, Chris Jones, who went on to Edmonton. Corey Mace comes, literally, he follows the head coach to Toronto from Calgary.
Yeah, so it's good to see him and Dinwiddie back together again. I know that Dinwiddie was Calgary's quarterback coach from 2016 to 2019, so that's at least they have a foundational history there. They know how to work well together, and those particular teams between 2016 and 2019 for Calgary were pretty darn good. So I have hopes for the future.
Yeah, another Bomber that gets signed. The depth of this team, the great defensive talent they have. Jamarcus Hardwick signed by Winnipeg.
No, it's good to see him back as well. I know that they're trying to keep a lot of their offense and defensive lines together. Getting Jamarcus Hardwick re-signed again, even if it's only for 1 year, is certainly a step towards doing that.
Speaking of the weekend, this wasn't too good. I'm going to sit here. I can be tough on the Leafs when I think they deserve it, but I can also be a little tender, like the coach was after the game they lost to the Colorado Avalanche. They had a 4-1 lead. They lost 5-4. How do you feel, Aaron, about the fact that this team was on the road? They haven't been much on the road. It's a different, it's a different atmosphere, literally, figuratively, in every way you want to put it, in Denver. The air gets pretty thin, and they looked like they ran out of gas. I think what they might have done is run out of air.
It's entirely possible. I think they actually played a textbook perfect road game, almost to a T. They made sure that they got out to an early lead. They made sure that they defended that lead as best they were able. Unfortunately, because they were getting doubled in shots, 50-25, that sort of thing is going to happen. If they're going to try to win a game like that, by starting out with a track meet. They need to make sure that they're better on the defensive end in the last 10 to 15 minutes because Campbell didn't deserve to go out like that. So we'll have to see what else comes of this. But, man, you know what? At least they salvaged a point. That's important.
Well, you're right about that. And I think the most important and most crucial thing that I think the process that, we talk about and we learn in sports, winning and losing is important. Please don't think I don't think it's important. But a lot of times it's the process. It's the way that you play that matters. And coaches today are very intent on ensuring that players play the way they have to more than ever, because the Toronto Maple Leafs is they're trying to play playoff hockey every game because they want to be ready to play in the playoffs. We've seen the GM bring in certain players, and when he needs a little muscle, he's brought in a little muscle. And we both know, Aaron, that's necessary in the playoffs. It's a definite, important thing.
It most definitely is. Now, the other thing to take away from this as well is the fact that over the course of the past month, since December 14th, the Leafs have played a grand total of 3 games. So, I mean, this is their 3rd game in the past 5 weeks. So it's not entirely surprising that they would lay a bit of an egg in the final period. There's one thing to practice. It's another thing to actually play games. So
now the coach did. He did make a little bit of excuses. We were missing 3 key guys on the team. He can't. Well, the team played well, right? The other issue I think that the Leafs have, and that's, fans get spoiled, right? And I looked on the internet and people were wondering, well, what happened to Nylander? I expect him to play the way he played usually all the time. He didn't do it. What was wrong with him on that day? I've never expected a heck of a lot from Nylander. I've only hoped that he'd provide a bit, and he has done that. But to expect him to, play really well or score a lot of goals, to score 50 goals in a season, if he does that, or plays anything like that, his contract goes from being something that I criticize to something I should be sheepishly ashamed of.
Well, I mean, the important thing is here that we're trying to get everybody back and we're trying to get everybody on the same page and get everybody healthy again. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't really a fan of Nylander's contract in the first couple of years either, but as we've gone on, he's slowly progressing into the kind of player that's definitely worth every single penny that we're paying him.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt
Nope.
that he's having this kind of year and Marner's having this kind of year. So, right?
It makes you wonder about how successful Marner's negotiating in public tactics actually were. Let's be honest.
Well, I think the issue was, and a lot of experts said at the time, Aaron, and I agreed with them. To pay that kind of money for a winger is not a very bright move. You can't pay a winger that kind of money, and nobody pays wingers that kind of money, or that haven't really, I mean, how much more is, put it this way, how much more is Matthews going to get in his next contract, Aaron?
Well, depending on how much the cap goes up, you never know. I'll be honest with you, though.
At the state it's going now.
At the state it's going now, he could be getting McDavid money by the time his next contract rolls around. So, wouldn't surprise me.
But what's McDavid money?
I think it's,
it's another
12.5% of the cap or something like that.
It's, what is it? He's earning about $1.5 million more than him. He's earning almost 12 or 12. I don't think he's earning 12 and change, is he?
12.5. Yep.
12.5. Okay.
Yeah.
And Matthews is earning 11, and his number 34. 11,340,000. Right.
So the maximum that players can be signed for as at this year with the cap at $81.5 million is $16.3 million, or 20% of the cap.
The point I'm trying to make is that they signed Marner in a long-term contract. And when you think about it, he just gets an extra $1 million. I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
I do. I totally understand it.
What you're getting for what you're gonna end up probably paying, Matthews. you're going to have to make sure you have that money for Matthews because he has that value. And there's one thing that we know about the cap, and we know about the way that this roster, this Leaf roster is made up as far as contracts are concerned. There's no room for extra money. There has to be a deduction. Like, you know, I was joking with you the last show that they got to lose the winger that they were sending, you know who I'm talking about. And then they got to lose a goaltender, right? Mrazek, they have to lose him. And then maybe they can put together enough money with those two contracts going bye-bye, and maybe they can afford, you know, to pay Campbell. But if they're going to pay anybody else who, you know, we're looking at players who are playing way above their contract value, right, this year. Like, the good news is that Dubas has brought in some players who have been great deals, right? And he's really done a real good job of great deals this year. You know, we're only talking about 3, maybe 4 contracts, right? But when you're talking about filling out a roster, 3, 4 good contracts in 1 year that you can pick up out of the clearance bin, that's not bad.
No, and it shows a certain amount of market savvy and a certain amount of hey, this guy actually knows what he's doing to be able to find the deals like that you need to fill the slots that you need to get you where you are.
And if he doesn't have the money, my point is, as I get to it, if he doesn't have the money to pay the players that were bargains this year that now he's got to sign or let go, it puts 2 questions on the table. Can he repeat bringing in guys that are of good value? And does he let go of guys like, you know, Mikheyev, right? Who I think you and I both can agree that he's a guy that, you know, could be very valuable.
He definitely could, especially when it comes to the deadline.
Yeah. So with the Leafs, you know, the one thing that they have that, you know, I mustn't forget, and fans need to remember and not lose their patience. They've got something to work with. You know, it's much easier to try and figure out where you're going to get to pay money to the guys that you have than it is to find guys that are worth the money.
This is very true.
Right? So, you
it's
know,
very true.
They've got the half the battle taken care of. So with Montreal, the Canadiens reportedly, I'm confused. I must have missed something. I thought they hired their GM. Help me here.
I had thought so as well, but I know that when you had originally contacted me on Sunday to let me know that apparently you'd heard that it was done, apparently they put that person on the short list, but it wasn't a done deal quite yet.
Oh, she was already on the short list. We'd already seen her on the short list, right?
This is the super secret short list.
Oh, this is the short. So, okay. So now Patrick Roy is back in the mix.
Yeah. Patrick Roy is back in the mix. Daniel Briere is back in the mix. We'll have to see. I know that Emily Castonguay was definitely one of the front runners as well, but they're expected to name their GM sometime in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. So we'll keep an ear to the ground for that for you folks, and as soon as we get it, we'll try to break it for you.
Do you think that little misunderstanding was planned by the Canadiens to see the kind of reaction they would get?
I definitely think they might have been chumming the waters a little bit.
It was like, you know, just a little trial balloon, right? Let's see what people say. And I bet you a lot of people said something like what we said. Well, that might make up for what they did during the summer.
Oh, I think it'd be awesome. I think if they managed to get something like that done, that would be fantastic. But, you know, it's really up to them at this point to try to do the right thing and to try to get this done. So
good news is that the Montreal Canadiens aren't in the Canadian Football League. They can hire as many in management as they like and pay them as much as they want. So there still could be an opportunity for her, maybe as an assistant GM at the very least.
Definite possibility. And speaking frankly here, as we do, I think they'd be fooled if they didn't pursue that opportunity, because she would be
or
a
at
great
least
guest.
give it some heavy thought, right?
Yeah,
because they have some fence mending, because the Montreal Canadiens, look, maybe I'll say 10 out of the 32 teams that are in the National Hockey League now, they could have made that draft pick. They could have got that draft pick, and it wouldn't have caused a ripple, right? But there are 10 teams, I'll say, 10 that had really a big problem, or not a problem at all, 10 that would be probably a little bit of a problem, and there'd be a few, like probably 10 where it'd be a big problem drafting that kind of guy in the big markets, right? In the big markets. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, that was something that I think contributed to the failure of the Montreal Canadiens this year, because I think it did take a little shine off the organization.
Definitely. I mean, when you look at organizations and their different hires, drafting somebody like Logan Mailloux is akin to the situation. Not 100% similar, but close to the situation where
That's next on our
the
conversation.
I
Kane.
talk about the Hurricanes picking up TDA.
No, I wasn't talking about them picking him. Tell us about that one.
Okay. Where did you want to go with this one, Frank?
No, just to say Kane. Like, now Kane's available, right?
Vander Kane. Oh,
and we're talking, we're hearing that the Maple Leafs are interested. Now, that's an organization, again, with what I just said. There's 10 teams where who cares? There's 10 teams where it might be a little iffy, and now I'll say then there's 8 teams where you could have problems, and then there's another 2 or 3 where you're going to burn in hell if you do something like that.
Based on the source for the rumors that the Leafs might be interested in picking up Kane, I'm really looking to discount those.
Lots of reasons.
No, there are a virtual cornucopia of reasons to not pick up Kane. The fact that some people are actually putting it out there in connection with their Patreon and with other things looking for clicks seems to me to indicate that this whole Maple Leafs are interested thing is kind of disingenuous. If he does get brought in, I will eat my hat. As it currently stands, I don't trust it.
I have said, and I've said it publicly, I've posted it, in fact, that I feel Patrick Kane is not a good fit for the Leafs, but the Leafs are a good fit. Patrick, Evander, thank you. Got the Chicago in my brain. Thank you for helping me out there. Evander Kane he's not good for the Leafs, but the Leafs are good for him. They have the kind of player management that they have in place. They spend a lot of money, more than most teams, on taking care of their players in ways that aren't just physical, right? So I don't know, how willing they would be to bring a guy in who's had problems, gambling, social problems, right? And finally, problem not being vaccinated, and MLSC doesn't allow fans to come into the games who aren't vaccinated. So to your point, it seems far-fetched just because of all those hurdles that have to be jumped over.
Now, in addition to this, there was one Toronto pundit who posited that the Leafs were willing to take on Josh Ho-Sang. So why wouldn't they be willing to take on Evander Kane? And to that point, I would like to say this. There is a massive difference between being immature, like Josh Ho-Sang was, and being a compulsive gambler who's declared bankruptcy once, if not more than, is part of spousal abuse allegations, and also has seemingly an inability to abide by league rules. There's a massive difference between those two.
He faked a vaccine passport. So, that doesn't speak well either. So it depends how, it's not just about value judgment. It's also hockey judgment. This is I want to keep saying Patrick Kane. Evander Kane is someone who has, it's just an old story, right? It's an old story. Very talented player, great hockey player, but has issues. And those issues can be problematic in the dressing room, locker room, etc. Right? We've seen it in football with Tampa Bay, right? Same thing, where you have players that, we can argue about them. We can argue about Evander Kane, his salvageability. We can talk about in the NFL, there's a few players that have, gone astray. But the fact remains, there's relationships in locker rooms, and there's a chemistry, and that chemistry can't be fooled with. I know people are saying it's a short-term thing. If the Leafs brought him in or any other team brings him in, they're only bringing him in basically for the playoffs. Well, there's a few more games than that left, and there's plenty of time for, behavior being a factor in an organization. We always talk about the Leafs have these players with great character that help, the team play really well. Well, the opposite can be true as well.
Well, I mean, and the feeling around town for those who believe that bringing in Kane is a possibility is that guys in the dressing room, like Spezza and like Simmons and their other veteran leaders will keep him in line and get him shipshape. But if the core group that they have in San Jose, which includes also Patrick Marleau, can't help Kane get his head screwed on right, I don't have a lot of hope for the group in Toronto to be able to do the same thing. So,
yep.
I'm grain of salting this, of course. I would like to see Kane get the help that he needs, but we'll have to see.
Agreed, 100%. I guess my final point is going to be, if you really want to understand why it might not be a good idea to have him join the Leafs, we've spoken for the past few minutes, and not once do we talk about his ability in this game.
No, and there's far too much off ice. There's far too much off ice for us to consider even bringing him in.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that the Leafs are right for him. If he shows up, I'm just saying that it would be good for him if the Leafs have the organization that they think they do, that I think they do, in as far as taking care of their players. The Ottawa Senators prospect Sanderson, I added this in for you. Joins the U.S. Olympic team. So now we're going to get a chance in the context. We don't have to talk about him specifically, Aaron, but with all these now young players that are, all the way from junior up to AHL caliber, right? All these players that are available now that aren't NHL players that the NHL teams don't need for the regular season. It's going to be interesting seeing the type of players that not only play, but how they play against each other on such a big stage, because they don't have the experience. A lot of them, it's going to be a fresh experience for them. I understand World Juniors are big. I get that. But we're talking about adult play here, which to me is a little bit different, right? It's total age group from the youngest to, mature. So that kind of, situation is not something they experience. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it in regards to watching the Olympics. Now, there are some people that are saying don't bother, but what do you think of the players that are going to be available for the Olympics?
There are still a great number of players that are available that are of NHL quality, as some would put it. The fact that they're willing to bring AHL players as well as OHL and junior age players is absolutely fantastic, I think, for those players to grow their experience, improve their draft stock, and get a taste of what it's really like out there with higher caliber players. I know that a lot of other countries are going to be sending their best. The fact that Team USA and Team Canada aren't sending theirs, I mean, it might be a factor, sure. I'm basically looking forward to it because it means that none of the big three are going to be able to run table.
Yeah, and that to me you've made it very clear that you're not a big fan of the pros there anyway.
No, I am not. Like I said, the Olympics have always been designed to be the best of the amateur athletes, and having the NHL there, to me, kind of taints it. Like the dream team in Barcelona. Like, ooh, I really find it hard to get excited when Team USA with their 14 NBA players is kicking the living snot out of Lithuania. It's just, yay.
Yeah,
so
I feel you. I got you.
It'll make it more fun for me. Put it that way.
Let's go to another Canadian team. Nikolai Ehlers enters COVID protocol with the Calgary Flames. They've been on a tough road trip, Aaron. Road trips do tend to be difficult, but I think they're team builders too.
They definitely are. This is just the never-ending merry-go-round of bad at this point, with players coming into and out of protocols. Hopefully we'll see everything improve shortly. I know that the original pause was designed to help that, but it doesn't really seem to be getting better. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for our fans as well.
Edmonton adds 2 more to the COVID list. They've been really inundated with players off the lineup because of COVID. It continues for them.
Yeah, they've been having their butts handed to them this entire time. I mean, the Senators themselves. This was like a last-minute pull of the game. I mean, this is the Senators have played 1 game since December 18th, and that was a 6-0 loss to the Leafs. So I mean, this isn't good for morale. This isn't good for the Sens. This isn't good for the Oilers.
And the Vancouver Canucks, they've not played much, giving Coach Boudreau a chance to work with his players, and he thinks it's about the players, and it's always about the players because they're the ones who play the game.
Yeah, like he said to Brock Besser, hey, you're good at shooting, right? Shoot more. So this is his chance to familiarize himself with the team, which is perfect.
Ex-GM of the Montreal Canadiens, Marc Bergevin, seems to have found a place already, and that one's on the West Coast with the LA Kings.
Yeah, so that's not really a surprise. He is one of the trusted hockey men, so of course you know he's going to end up in a place like that. I'm not sure if they're looking to improve where they are in the draft rankings or what, but if you look at what's happened with the Montreal Canadiens so far this year, he hasn't been doing such a good job of it.
PEI Hockey League suspends, the player who, the disgraceful response to a racist incident.
So a player responded to a racist incident on the ice by slashing one of the players that said the racist things, called them out on social media for it, and then got suspended indefinitely by the league, as opposed to the league actually doing something about the racism, which is, it is what it is.
Well, it's a hockey go-to move, Aaron. In hockey, you always get the person that retaliates, right? And sometimes they don't get the guy that really deserved the penalty in the first place.
This is very, very true.
So in this case, this is the retaliator, but there's no justification for the kind of action that he took, Aaron. We have to make sure that people understand that we don't think people should be breaking sticks over other people, right?
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be on the internet attacking people either, I don't think. So now, I don't know what was said. If you want to enlighten me, go ahead. But I just don't think anyway. There has to be cooler heads instead of getting a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is, like you said, it's accountability that does that. All right. Well, you got to go.
Well, we are out of time, unfortunately. So,
okie dokie. Are you sure? Because I got
I'm
more
sure.
stuff here.
Oh, I understand, but I have some other things I need to take care of on my own, Frank. So,
well, really? Oh, if that's the way you feel.
Okay, Eeyore.
He's Aaron William Freeland. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Frank.
I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news and entertainment sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you for watching. Ciao for now, everyone.